thinks he's got a horse for the course here as we head towards turn number 1. They call that big red up here, waiting for the green flag. It's a long, wide front straightaway, 2x2, 20 cars deep here at Cota. Green flag flies, and we're underway here, Chris. 4 wide already as we head up towards turn 1.
All right, I'm watching Mike McGillis to see how he sets up with the Subaru, but let's look at this front.
5 wide. Look at Jensen up the inside. No way they can make that work into turn 1. Still door to door. Houghton tries to pull through. Jensen jumps the curb. Now down the hill for the lead. If Houghton can pull this off, he'd have it, but not quite. He's going to tuck back in line.
Man, I know he was hoping to kind of take the lead and seize that after turn 1, so we'll just have to see how this battle unfolds.
Lawson Crane is in that red BMW alongside Matan Rosenberg. Lawson's going to try to pull through into 3rd place. That's the last step on the podium. He's through. Houghton hounding Luke McGrew as they head through the S's and towards turn 7. Chris, lots of undulations and elevation here. Kind of hard to see over the sight lines as we head towards the airport.
I mean, this is one of my favorite parts of the track. I came here for the first inaugural F1 Grand Prix, and I was sitting in those stands, and it was just an awesome vantage to watch cars battle through those S's.
Oh, a little bit wide there for a couple of the cars. I think Baton's lost another spot. Yes, that's to Eric Magnussen in the number 330. Started at the tail of the field in race number 2. Drove up to 7th place. Here's the 17 at Tony Marchev on Eric Jensen down into turn 11. He's going to pull through and make that pass complete. Michael Hilo in that red 350Z is going to try to set himself up for a pass down into turn 12. And now we wait, Chris, for this long back straightaway. But Houghton hounding Luke McGrew for the lead.
He's staying on him, that's for sure. Not too much separation through the rest of the pack, but they're really walking away.
And for that top spot, the draft, the slipstream, Luke's car maybe 2-3 miles an hour better on the straightaway, but if you tuck in behind, that lead car is doing all the work for you, pushing the air out of the way, and it's nose to tail here, a car length between the 2 leaders.
Now it's just all about perfection. James has got to just stay focused, not make any errors, and hopefully he can stay on the tail.
He described Luke McGrew as casually perfect. Maybe he can take advantage of that. He said that there are times that Luke's casualness can be a deficit to his own performance. Let's see. Look at James closing in through turn 15. As some side-by-side behind him, but it is a battle for the top spot into the carousel.
Starting to set it up.
Nose to tail here through the long right-hander. The battle's behind him here. There's Eric Jensen on the outside of Hilo. Jensen went under Kyle Hale and one other competitor. I think it was Julio Crispin in the last 2 corners of race 2. It was an unbelievable move. And here comes Houghton to the outside here, Chris, to the outside.
Chasing it. There he goes with the drag race.
Into turn 20, and he's going to turn down in, and now it's going to be throttle up drag race. Houghton clears for the lead. Wow. Here we go. For the first time this weekend, James Houghton has completed the pass on Luke McGrew somewhere other than the front straightaway. So he's now got the advantage. We'll see if he can keep it, Chris.
Looks like he might have a 3-way battle. Maybe a 4?
Yeah, there's Lawson Crane there in 3rd place. That's that red BMW. In the background, there's one of his competitors, but 5 cars in this front pack, and James Houghton trying to pull a lead on Luke McGrew. Last year they were separated by just 1 point in the season championship. James had an opportunity to win the championship mathematically going into Lime Rock Park. He made a mistake that cost him that opportunity, but this year with Swenson gone, the throne is open for the taking, and it's going to be these 2, I bet, based on this weekend and past ones, that will be going for the title this year.
They're some of the most fiercest competitors in the field, and with incredible craft and incredible prep for vehicles, right? So all the boxes checked, so it's going to be awesome to watch this year.
And they check those boxes in such different ways too. Luke usually shows up on his own. He's got assistance from his competitors in the paddock, but James Houghton's got a whole team behind him, Unit 2 Fab and K-Tuned, and they work so closely together throughout the weekend to solve problems. But it is sometimes like taking a knife to a gunfight for Luke when he's all on his own, but his engineering, his skill level behind the wheel usually makes up for that.
Yes, I think part of that kind of casual perfection is like the car as well, right? Like trying to get something that's going to get him to seat time and really stay running for the weekend. Looks like the fight continues.
Yeah, for 3rd place, it's Eric Magnussen. He's a new competitor here this weekend. He's doing all the festival rounds this year. Over-under on Lawson Crane. That's a good battle between 2 BMWs right now. Lawson ran with us last season. He's a local competitor from the Austin area, and they're going to continue to over-under here through the stadium section, designed in a similar way to the Hockenheim ring in Germany. It leaves all these opportunities for overing and undering, and Matan Rosenberg setting up to do the same as the 2 leaders continue to run within a car length of each other. And knowing Houghton and what he said about Luke's car, he is working very hard right now to keep Luke in the rear view.
I believe it. I believe it. See how evenly matched they are as drivers, and the way that they make speed differently, it's just incredible to watch. And as 2 and 3 start to chop it up, they're really just walking away again.
Yeah, and I think the benefit to them is that they're both fast enough to be able to race and still drive away, but if they get side by side, that battle will become for the lead again. So Lawson Crane into third place, a pretty comfortable third at the moment, as Eric Magnuson is back in the hands of Baton Rosenberg. Tony Marchev's up to sixth place, and Jensen, McGinnis, Cathers, and Michael Hilo, the rest of the top 10. Luke McGrew turns in tight at the exit of turn 1, throttles down, and Corvette power now down through turn 2. Widens out the corner, maybe he'll try to tuck in here into the S's.
So where do you think the best opportunity is for Luke here on the street?
I still think it's going to be down the back straightaway into turn 11. That's where he's had his advantage all weekend long, but that was at a point when James had an issue with a VTEC solenoid that he was able to replace. So James is really up to what should be his max allowable power, and that's going to make Luke's advantage kind of diminish. But Luke is, for the first time, really on offense here this weekend. In race 1, James did lead the race for a handful of laps, but Luke passed him so quick he didn't really have to battle him. But now the battle is on.
No, it's going to be really awesome to see this, just kind of this tension build up over these next few laps, and. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Always awesome to see like two such different types of cars battling it out. And it's one of the things that's just so awesome about this series.
Yeah, 4-cylinder front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive V8 under the hood of Luke McGrew's car. The one other big difference is that James has no anti-lock brakes, so he's going to, here comes Luke McGrew with that power on the backstretch in the slipstream down to turn 11. This is where his advantage is. On the brakes, James is going to struggle here as well, but he dove in there pretty hard. But if he can keep overlap here, just like he's doing, Chris, he'll have the right-hander and the advantage.
Boom. Yeah, just amazing. And I love it when these battles start to unfold, and it seems like we get a lot of these in race 3, right? So as the weekend progresses, as the weekend progresses, right? Drivers learn more. They learn more about their competitors. They learn more about themselves. They learn more about their cars. They make refinements. They make tweaks, and that's one of the cool things about the format too.
Little wiggle there by Luke McGrew as he tried to squeeze underneath the 41. This is a great battle, but it's clear that James is on the hind foot here.
Yes.
He's really trying to keep Luke behind. What he hasn't done yet is drive defensively, though. He's left the lane open. We'll see if he starts to take a protective line into some of the harder corners, but Luke is on him. He's got an advantage in acceleration and an advantage in braking. But here he comes up the inside for turn 20. Took a look, though, tried to bait James into blocking.
Yeah, it seems like you can see the strategy changing a little bit, and man, just every corner, here we go.
Yeah, Luke got a nice underneath turn there as James ran a bit wide, and now up the straightaway. Again, Honda 4-cylinder under the hood of the TSX and a V8 from Chevrolet under the black car. Into turn 1 again. Luke should have this pass, but James is going to drive in hard on the outside, side by side through turn 1.
Boom. Yeah, he really took that one late, and it's so awesome to see still, even in the drag race, how evenly matched they can be.
Now, this is going to be who backs out here, side by side into the S's. Luke's got the preferred line, but he's going to back out. James Howland pulls ahead, and this is an important pass for him to make. This is just, it's who's going to break first. They're calling each other's bluff at the moment, and Luke, that casually perfect driving, he's got just a lot of ability to know, I don't think I want to put my car there. I'm going to back out and try this again. He's clearly got an advantage, but look who's closing in, Lawson Crane.
Right, as the battle continues up front, right, the leaders slow just a little bit, and then now we might have a 3-way battle coming up.
Yeah, Lawson, it's like smelling blood in the water, and the dorsal fin is circling this battle up at the front for the moment. Again, James stays on the racing line. As soon as you go defensive, your entry is so shallow that you're going to compromise the exit. You cannot do that with this very long back straightaway. You have to use all the racetrack to your advantage, especially in a horsepower race like they have here. But Luke's back about 5-6 car lengths. He's going to close this up a bit, Chris, but if Luke doesn't have the advantage here and isn't able to get alongside him, James should be able to hang on to this at least for this lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how the small variances in each of these turns, kind of set up, and you can see it all just kind of unfold like little bit by little bit by little bit, every little move, every little decision.
I don't think anyone could have comprehended, the battle for second in the championship would be so hotly contesting for the first spot in the championship this year. It's so early. We end the season in October at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, but with the throne left open, these were the two drivers that we anticipated to jump into that spot. And clearly, the fight is starting early this season.
100%, but there's also the things to consider, like the individuals that are not here, that did not, have not finished their builds, that are like waiting for CMP in the forthcoming rounds. So So, like, this is going to get spicy this year.
It's going to get really spicy, and right now, it's interesting to see Luke dropping back a bit. He was really aggressive that last lap around, so could have overheated the tires. Again, we're not on a slick racing tire. We're on 200 treadwear street tires, so you can overheat them pretty quickly, especially with the weight that he's got. In comparison to James, his car, in theory, would fall off towards the end of the race, where James would keep a bit more pace in the car. But we didn't see that in race 1. Luke closing in again.
Yeah, and I know the drivetrain probably has something to do with that as well, right? So you've got different wear, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. So, they're both probably managing, tire and grip levels at this point.
Well, the front tires on that TSX are doing pretty much everything. The rear tires are just there to keep the frame from scraping on the ground effectively. So you're braking, accelerating, and turning with the front tires, where the Corvette has the advantage of using the rears for acceleration. So the tires can only do so many things at once. So the TSX is going to have some advantages and disadvantages, but he's got now a 6-7 car length lead, and it seems like Luke isn't able to keep as close to the rear bumper. So the slightly smaller Corvette in the rear view, that's going to give Houghton a little bit of a moment to breathe.
Yeah, so I think they're probably just settling in, relaxing, focusing on, those individual laps. And I don't know, I got to know, kind of how Luke's feeling right now, and, think about it, does that casualness crank up, in these scenarios? Does he push a little bit, or is he pretty much Mr. Consistent?
We will find out, but he's told us he can light the afterburners when he needs to, and there's this battle here between Eric Magnussen and Matan Rosenberg, a little over-under there from Matan, and I think Eric is older than Matan. He's got a lot more experience as far as wheel-to-wheel racing is concerned. Matan's been with us for a handful of years, but he's still very young. Well, look at Magnussen having a look here. The livery that Matan's car was based on was raced when Matan was 5 years old, and that was 2009, just for reference.
Oh, man.
So,
one of the things I noticed about Matan's car is that he's running wingless. Tell us a little bit about, why.
Yeah, so he came into the weekend thinking, all right, big racetrack, low drag, that's the setup I'm going to go with, but he was struggling in practice to maintain any kind of composure in the fast, high-speed corners. So he does have a piece of Lexan bolted to the rear trunk now that actually came off of Houghton's car from a different configuration he runs. I'm not sure how much it's helping, but he hasn't really seemed to be chasing that car around all that much. So it's clearly doing something as we continue to circulate here at Circuit of the Americas.
Yes, looking every corner to see, did Luke light those afterburners? Is he coming in hotter? Is he braking later?
White flag, 1 lap to go. So this battle continues for P4 at the moment. Rosenberg versus Magnussen, and these cars, it might as well have Maersk on the side of them. It's like they're carrying shipping containers. They're so heavy compared to the other cars in the field. Looking for the lead, though. Only half a car length, and Luke is on it now.
There's those afterburners, so, he's holding the secret, kind of tricking us through the last few laps, and then lights that fire.
He's flipped the switch to arm the missiles now. We'll see when he takes his shot, but it's going to have to come, I think, going into turn 11. Houghton knows that, and Luke a little offline there. See how it compromised his exit? He lost a car length, so
a little bit.
It's going to all come down to the exit of turn 11. If James can nail that, then he'll build himself enough of a gap to protect. Big slide there into turn 7, though.
Yeah, you can just see the decisions compound here in this final lap, especially when the pressure's on. So let's see how this all unfolds coming up to 11, coming up into turn 10 into the straight.
Yeah, this is not the largest gap that he's had, but it is not a small one, so he should be able, if he can just nail this exit. Luke knows how critical this turn is. Closing in, only a car length between them. Luke's going to power down. Nice, clean exit for both. And Luke's close enough. I think he's going to have a run. James is going to move left a bit, I think, to protect this, unless he thinks he can stay to the outside and maintain that right sideline into turn 13 like before.
I can feel the anxiety between these two right now.
Here we go. It's going to be a braking duel again into turn 12. Who's got the brakes? Who's got the bravery? On the binders into turn 12. Luke's not quite fully alongside. James is in way too hot. Blows the corner at 12. And here comes Luke McGrew.
Oh, man.
To the lead, but James sees an opportunity, backs out. Can he tuck underneath here in 13? Luke McGrew takes the lead with half a lap to go. Can he steal this one from James Houghton?
I don't know. Looks like James is falling back. Maybe shook a little bit from that error.
And now through turn 15, running out of time, running out of corners. This is all a mental game at this point, and I think James might have already lost it. Through 16, 17, and 18, the carousel. One final time here in race 3. Big slide for Luke McGrew. He was chasing the car over the road. Look at Houghton to the green.
Way off.
He is absolutely driving this car to the limit. He's going to miss 19 as well, but the race already lost at turn 12. Back a half a lap ago. Luke McGrew is going to go 3 for 3 and steal it in the last half of a lap from James Houghton. Checkered flag, and Luke McGrew snags one at Cota. Houghton second, Lawson Crane third, and Magnuson, Matan Rosenberg, and Tony Marchev, the rest of your top 6, Chris.
Man, it's always I mean, every GLTC race, you know, you think it's locked.
Whoa,
and then it switches.
hello! Wow, Stubbs going for a slide there out of turn 20. Wow, he's putting on a show.
Yeah.
And Kyle Hale coming up as well. That's for 11th spot. But man, last lap pass, and Luke set him up. He did. Got in his rear view. And I don't think, had they gone in there side to side, I don't know that Luke would have passed him. But James, really, Luke called his bluff, drove in there out of his rear view mirror. Perfect offensive driving by Luke McGrew. And James just couldn't see him in the mirror, and that was that. There's Vitas Aronowskis. That's down at turn 11. And that's kind of a weird spot to end up. So I'm trying to figure out how he could have gotten there, unless he backed up and had an issue, or if he had spun off to the left. But either way, he will get picked up, and we'll check in on that for race number 4. But the checkers wave. Field comes under the control of the slowing race winner, Luke McGrew. So 3 for 3, Chris, but now is when the weekend really gets fun, because we have that random inversion.
Yeah, so, and based off of the size of the field, you know, where could that inversion fall?
It's usually the top 25% of the field, so in a 20-car race, that could be really down to 5th, but we could see 6 or 7 cars inverted. It's a random dice roll now for 2024. Yeah. Adam bought a bag of 50 of them, so if we lose them, we've got to replace
dice, you got another.
So that dice will get rolled, and we'll know what the invert is fairly well. I think one of the drivers rolls it now, so we're not going to know until before the race. But when we invert that, it means that, let's say we invert 5, it means Rosenberg would be the pole sitter, and then Magnuson would be second, and so on and so forth. The biggest thing for Luke McGrew is the only car he's had to pass at all this weekend is James Houghton.
Right.
So if he's got to pass other cars now, it might give James an opportunity to drive away. And James will start ahead of Luke because of the nature of the inversion. So that's going to be just a runaway, play tag scenario for James.
I mean, I always think of James as a little bit one of the more aggressive and opportunistic drivers within the family, right? So he's going to take advantage of all of those things and think about every angle, you know, to try and put himself as far in front of his rival as possible. So it's going to be a really, really spicy and interesting race 4.
Another car parked off the exit of turn 1, and that is an MX-5. I think that's Kevin Bandy, another new competitor who's also planning on running much of the season. He was telling me about some of his livery ideas, and I'm very excited for what that car will look like.
I love that people are talking about livery ideas. It's like still it's a part of the program. Being a creative director, you know, and like thinking about how everything presents and how people present themselves and how we're able to present them. It's just so cool to see all that stuff step up year over year.
So as the cars roll around the carousel now, they're going to head back to the paddock. We'll scale the cars, dyno a few, make sure everyone's playing by the rules. And then race 4 will be this afternoon, and that one will be our final race of the weekend. We'll tally the points up, Chris, and then we'll declare a champion on the weekend. But I think Luke, with 3 wins, is going to be pretty hard to take that away, especially with Bull. I think he's already got a lot.
There'd have to be some significant errors, or
he's got to pass tech.
Yeah, he's got to pass tech, right? So got to pass tech. So assuming out of scrutineering and out of impound all as well, there'd have to be some pretty significant errors outside of that casual perfection, you know, in order for him to fall down the order.
Race 3 is complete for Gridlife Touring Cup. We're going to toss it back to the Superlap Battle crew for the next handful of sessions, and we'll be back this afternoon for the 4th and final race of the weekend here at Circuit of the Americas for Gridlife Touring Cup. Kyle Heyer with Chris Stewart. We'll see you again later today.